What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about the last piece of evidence for our faith. This is love. Jesus summed up the entire law using two commandments, both of which, there we go, deal with love. We need to love our God with all of our mind, our soul, our strength, and we need to love our neighbor as ourself. Now, whenever I say love, I don't mean what oftentimes the word love has been twisted to mean nowadays. I mean like agape love, the kind of love that God has for us, the selfless, unconditional, sacrificial love where you put everybody, like you put the needs of other people far above your own. Uh, and that is the love that we're going to take a deeper dive into and look at today. But before we dive into God's word, as always, let's go ahead and open up in a word of prayer. Lord, I thank you so much for everything that you do. I thank you for the love that you showed us, Lord, that you came down while we were still sinners and you died for us, Lord, that you love us day in and day out. We are never not in your love. And Lord, I thank you that you also have given us like the perfect example of love so that we can show love to the people around us as well. And I pray that as we dive into your word today, that you would just reveal to us areas of our life where we maybe need to show a little more love to the people around us. And as we walk away from here, that we would be determined to love better than we have before. Thank you so much for everything you do. It is in your name that I pray. Amen. The first passage we're going to take a look at today is 1 John 3, verse 18 through 21. It says, "My little children, let us not love in word or in tongue, but in deed and in truth. And by this we know that we are of the truth, and we shall assure our hearts before him. For if our heart condemns us, God is greater than our heart and knows all things. Beloved, if our heart does not condemn us, then we have confidence towards God." I still am slightly sick from last time, so if I'm sniffling, that's why. Hopefully it's not too obnoxious. Starts off, let us not love in word or in tongue, but in deed and in truth. We can't just love people by what we say. We can say one thing, and if our actions show completely the other thing, people aren't going to feel loved at all. We need to make sure that we are loving in our actions towards one another and also in truth. I'm going to come back to that at the end. But the love and truth are very closely connected. If you love somebody, you want them to know the truth, and you're going to show them the truth. You're going to tell them the truth. Now, why necessarily is it so important to have love in our life? And this also is going to sum up why are we looking towards evidence for our faith? Why it's so important that we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that we have true faith in Jesus Christ. Verse 19 says that by this we will know that we are of the truth and shall assure our hearts before him. Whenever we are able to look through our life, look at the evidence for our faith, and see that we have faith. In this instance, it's love. Whenever we see we have love, and we're like, all right, like I know, like based off of the love in my life that God works through me, that God uses in me, based off of the love that comes out of my life, I know that I am safe in God's hand. I can assure my heart before him. I don't have to be anxious or nervous about what eternity has because I have assured myself that, hey, I know that God has me. God's got me. And then it says in verse 20 that if our heart condemns us, God is greater than our heart. Sometimes we're still going to have days where it's like, dude, I messed up. Like, I am worthless. I'm not worth it. Today was a bad day. Or oftentimes it's more than just a day. Like, I've not been, like, your heart condemns you. You feel very guilty and very conscious of what sin you've been committing. But even if you look at all the evidence, you're like, dude, my heart's just, even though I know mentally my heart's just not there, my heart's not sure right now. God is greater than our heart, thank goodness, because if God wasn't greater than our heart, that'd be very sad. My heart our heart sometimes can do a lot of evil, so I'm glad that God is more powerful than my heart, way more powerful. But if our heart does not condemn us, if we have assured our hearts, then we have confidence towards God. We can have a relationship with God. We can like come to God and be like, Lord, you got me. I know it. Like you and me, we got a good relationship. I thank you for what you've done for me. I know that I'm safe before you and I can come before you and I can have confidence that my relationship with you is secure and I can ask you for things and know that you are going to provide. Then we're going to flip over to 1 John 4, verse 7. It's actually on the same page where I said flip over, but don't really got to do any flipping. It says, Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God, and everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. Love is kind of like the mark that in our lives that we abide in Christ. Sorry, I got to scratch my ear. Let us love one another, for love is of God. God is love. Love comes from God. That's where love comes from. And everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. It's people that demonstrate love in their lives towards the people around them. That is an attribute that's going to show, hey, that person is of God. Now, once again, I'm not saying the kind of love that we have. Well, it's kind of really the English language in general. We have the same word for love for a lot of things. Obviously, like love is a physical act. Love is like I love ice cream. That's different than saying like I love my mom. Like a relationship love, but then agape love is the love that's gonna talk about here. This selfless, sacrificial love towards people around you, where you put their needs above your own time and time again. Like that's what our lives should be a picture of. Our lives should, if you could describe our lives as Christians, it should be agape love. I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced, agape. That's always how I've heard it pronounced. Jesus, once again, told us that the entire law can be summed up in 2 commandments. To love the Lord our God with all of our mind, our soul, our strength. That is, once again, that's agape love. Like everything we have, God, I love you. And then to love our neighbor above ourselves. To put our neighbor above ourselves, that selfless, sacrificial love, putting their needs above our own. So agape love, if that's what our lives are, that's what we're living it out, we're going to be living in obedience to God. So if we are living in love, if that is what truly drives us, we're also going to fulfill whatever God's plan is for my life. I feel like, I'm kind of like, obviously I want to work on love. Like I want to be able to do that, but I'm kind of nervous about like what's next for me in life. Next year I'm going off to college, and I'm a little bit nervous about that. I don't really know exactly what God's plan for me is in the future. But if we are living out love, if love is what drives us, if love is what calls us to do things, and if we are walking in love, ultimately, God is going to use us, and we're going to fulfill whatever purpose and plan He has for our life. So we don't got to worry about the other stuff. We just got to make sure that we are walking in love. We are walking in a relationship with God that just pours love into the people around us, and God is going to open up doors. If that is what our life looks like, if that's what we're walking, if that's what the path we're walking is. We're going to flip over to 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians 1 or 1 Corinthians 13. Gives one of the best descriptions of love in the Bible. I'm going to go ahead and read the whole thing. It's only 13 verses, so it's not too bad. But the whole chapter is great. Though I speak with the tongues of men and angels, but have not love, I have become sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith, so that I could remove mountains, but I have not love, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, but have not love, it profits me nothing. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself. It is not puffed up. It does not behave rudely. It does not seek its own. It is not provoked. It thinks no evil. It does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. I'm going to come back to that too. Rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. But whether there are prophecies, they will fail. Whether there are tongues, they will cease. Whether there is knowledge, it will vanish away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect is come, that which is in part will be done away. When I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know, just as I also am known. And now abide faith, hope, love. These 3, but the greatest of these is love. I want to start out there at the end. It kind of gets a little bit confusing. Talking about prophecy and tongues and how that will pass away. What it's saying there kind of sums it. Verse 13 sums it up. It says, "And now abide faith, hope, and love. These 3. But the greatest of these is love." Our walk with Christ, our Christianity, faith, hope, and love are like the big 3. They're all very important factors of our relationship with Christ. However, love is the most important. obviously love is a direct attribute of God. Like God is love. Like God is overflowing with love. God is the author of love. Like love is a direct attribute of God. So that's makes it important in and of itself. But also faith and hope will cease. Those are things that are going to see an end to them. That doesn't make any sense. Let me explain it a little bit more in depth. When it comes to our faith, faith will eventually be made sight. Obviously, our faith is very important right now. Having faith in Christ, what He's done for us, having faith in the promises that He's made. But one day, whenever we see, like our faith will be made sight, we'll see what we've put our faith and our trust in, and we won't need faith anymore. You don't need faith in something that's right in front of you. So that isn't going to last forever. Hope isn't going to last forever either. We hope for the future. We hope for the promise that God has given us. We hope for the resurrection and the and eternity with Christ. But once again, whenever we actually have that, whenever that is revealed to us, we don't need to hope anymore. It'll be there. You don't hope for something that's already happened. I'm not gonna sit and be like, man, I really hope that Patrick Mahomes wins a Super Bowl at least once in his career, because he's already won. So you don't really have to hope for that. It's already happened. So once that happens, we no longer have hope, or we no longer need hope. We no longer need faith, because those things have become sight. One thing we are going to continue doing for all of eternity is loving God. We're going to be receiving God's love. We're going to be loving God, loving the people around us. It'll be an awesome time. So love is an eternal aspect of our Christian faith, and it's a direct attribute of God. So love ultimately triumphs as, like I said, one of the big three of our faith. If I can categorize those as that. And then also, love is like the most important motivator behind what we do. He starts off the chapter, though I speak with tongues of men and angels, but have not love, I become sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. Then he gives some more stuff. He says, but if I have not love, I am nothing. Like without love, if that's not what drives us, that's it's not going to profit us much. We need to make sure that what we're doing is backed by love. If I'm not if I'm just going to use this as an example. If you share the gospel with somebody, but you don't really love them, you don't really care that much about the outcome, you're just like, yeah, I'm just going to do this because I want to check off the box. There's no love behind it. That's not really going to do anything. It's not going to profit anything. It doesn't really have any eternal value. If what you're doing, if things that you're doing aren't being driven by love, if that's not what motivates you, it doesn't really have a lot of value in that. Now, obviously, Paul also says that, like, hey, if the gospel is being shared, that's great, but you also got to make sure that, like, for your own sake, but also because love is, the most important thing. Make sure that is what is your motivator. That's what drives you. Getting into necessarily what love looks like, verses 4 through 7. Love has some active attributes of it. It is patient. It is kind. It rejoices with the truth. Love is patient. Sometimes in life, there are people you're like, oh my gosh, I cannot stand this person. I can't be patient with them. Like, I'm going to lose my patience. I'm going to pull my hair out. But whenever, love is what is controlling our life, we're going to have patience beyond what seems humanly possible. Believe me, every human has a limit to patience, but there's going to be some. Whenever our love is what drives us, we're going to seem to go far beyond the limits of what is humanly possible with some of the people out there that you're like, this person deserves zero patience from anybody. Also kind. It's going to show mercy to the people around us. And then also rejoices with the truth. Once again, love is happy when the truth comes out. When the truth prevails, love rejoices with that. Once again, I'm going to come back to that at the very end. Love is also protective and resilient, and says in verse 7 that it bears all things. It protects, it trusts, it hopes, and it perseveres. So yeah, it is verse 7. My notes were on a different version, and then I was over here. But yeah, verse 7. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Saying bears all things, it's also it protects. Love is protective. Obviously, if you love somebody, you want what's best for them. You want to protect them. You want to make sure that no harm falls upon them, and that's what love does. If you love somebody, you're gonna wish, like, you don't want them to suffer. You want to protect them. It also trust. If you love somebody, you want to be able to trust them. Obviously, some people that you love are gonna break your trust, and you're not gonna be able to trust them as much. But you still want to trust them, and your natural default is going to be to trust them until they really prove you otherwise. Um, if you love somebody, your natural default will be to trust them. It also hopes, and then it also perseveres as well. Love is what helps get us through hard times. Love hopes and love perseveres. Love gets through stuff. If we got people in a situation with us that we love, that makes it easier to endure. Or we love, like, if you love like an outcome that you're chasing, that'll make the sufferings that you're chasing to get that outcome that much easier as well. Like, if you're training for something and the training's not very fun, but you're like, dude, it'll be great whenever I get this goal. Like, I love the fact that this is what I'm training for. It'll make the training all that not that much worse. I don't know what I just said. Anyway, but whenever love helps you to get through things, love gives you hope. Love perseveres. Love is also selfless and humble. Love is humble. It doesn't need a whole month to show how prideful it is. Just throwing it out there. Love does not envy, doesn't boast or act proudly, and it's not rude or demanding of its own way. Love isn't jealous what other people has. It celebrates in other people's success, and this is something that I've had a hard time with over the years. Like, obviously, it's really cool whenever something happens to somebody, but I'm like, dude, it would have been pretty cool if that happened to me too. Like, I'm just saying. But ultimately, like, if you love somebody, you rejoice in what they have, and so there's a fine line. You're like, dude, I love this person. I love that happened to them, but it would have been cool if it maybe also happened to me. But yeah, love is going to be excited with somebody else. It's not going to envy what they have. And it's like I said, that's something that I got to keep working on too. It doesn't boast or act proudly. It's not going to puff itself up. It's not going to like parade itself. Be like, hey, guys, like, check me out. Love. If you love somebody, you can be your true self around them. You don't have to brag about yourself. You don't have to make yourself seem like more than you actually are. Then it's also not demanding of its own way. It doesn't force other people to do exactly what it says. Now, I will say, oftentimes, if your way that you're like is the best way, you might throw the idea out there. Hey, like, I think that you really, like, I love you. I care about you. This is what you need to be doing. It doesn't necessarily demand. It's like, hey, you gotta stop what you're doing. You gotta come over here. It's not like the mom that their kid is messed up. Like, get off your neck. Like, it's not like demanding of your own way. However, that doesn't mean that it's never gonna share what's right. It's going to throw that out there. Hey, I love you. I care about you. This is what you need to hear. This is what you need to be doing. But ultimately, you're not gonna force anybody to do that. Love is also forgiving. It's not easily provoked and doesn't take joy in evil. So love has two very important factors. Obviously, our relationship with God. Love is an eternal factor that will go on forever, but also our love for the people around us. I want to close with the fact that love rejoices in the truth. If you love somebody, you want to tell them the truth. Which oftentimes in today's day and age, if you try and tell somebody the truth, try and tell somebody about the gospel, tell them that what they're doing is wrong. Oftentimes it gets you labeled as like hateful, as a bigot, as like judge mental. You get labeled as a whole bunch of things. When really, once again, if that's backed by love, and you're just trying to tell somebody the truth, why would you go through that? Why would you go through that if you know that you're going to be hated and despised for it? You do it because you love them enough that you want them to know, even if that's the consequence, even if that's the result that you're going to get, hated on. I want to think about it a different way, like use a different, kind of zoom out from the realm of Christianity and just kind of give like a real life example. But I mean, that is a real life example, but a different real life example. If you had a friend whose boyfriend or girlfriend was cheating on them, or you had a friend that was being talked bad about behind their back, if you loved me, you cared about me, you'd probably be like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, this is going on. I know it hurts to hear, but like, this is the truth. Or you have a friend that is like in the middle of an assignment, but they misunderstood the directions, and so they're working on this assignment and they're doing it all wrong, and you see it. If you're, if you're sitting like, I don't really want to like interrupt them and like make them feel bad that they're doing it wrong. If you love them enough, you can be like, hey, I just want you to know that's not how you're supposed to do that assignment. Like, if you get to the end of that and you try and turn that in, it's probably not going to get a good grade. Like, I just want you to know that now obviously you do nicely. Actually, if you're between guys, you probably be like, hey, idiot. That's not what that says. But that's how we sometimes show love to each other. But if you would show love by saying like, hey, that's not how you're supposed to do that assignment. Like, this is what the direction said, and if you if you want to get a good grade, you should do it this way. And in the same way, that's kind of what happens like with life. We have like an exam. There's only one question on the exam, and it's a yes or no answer, and it's, did Jesus take the punishment for your sins? Like, did you put your faith and trust in him? And if somebody has the answer marked as no, and if the answer is yes, you're like, hey, I just want to let you know that's like, whenever you get to the end of that exam gets turned in, that's not going to be a good grade. Obviously, it's much bigger than that. Like, if you love somebody and if you care about them, you want them to know the truth. So, do we love the people around us enough to tell them like, hey, I just want you to know that this is what the truth is? Do we like does the love rejoice when the truth gets found out, when the people around us find out the truth? So the love in our lives should lead us to show the gospel. People should lead us to tell the truth, to make the truth be known. So love should guide our actions with Christ, guide our relationship with Christ, guide what we do. That should be the motivator behind it. And it should also guide us to to be witnesses of God, and to share the truth as well. And if we can see that in our life, that's great evidence that we are followers of Christ and that we have real faith. I really enjoyed this series. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. I hope you guys grew in your faith a little bit. Can look back and look over some areas of your life, see areas that you might need improvement, see some areas like, dude, I'm glad that God has worked in this area, because now I can look at it and be like, dude, I know that God's working in my life. So I hope you guys had a few of those moments along the way. And I'll see you guys. It might be a few weeks before I put up the next video, just because I'm planning on doing a little bit of prep work before my next video series, but I am hoping to get it up relatively quickly. So I'll see you guys sometime in the future.